Hello folks,
Hello!
welcome back to Wandering into Wellness.
Here we are at Meadows in the Mountains. Very exciting, year number 2.
We have been here before, you've seen little bits of us here. We managed to podcast with a few of the really great guests down at Mesa last year, but this year we finally did it. We caught the big fish.
It took a while, I'm not going to lie. This is my cousin Ben, and took us many hours today and many phone calls to try and pin poor Ben down. I think he was probably like, my cousin is the most annoying person in the history of the world. But we really wanted to have you on the podcast because, well, for me, firstly, I'm just absolutely blown away by the festival. And you've been telling me about it for so many years and saying, Lids, come do your yoga. And I was like, I'm not really a festival person. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to like it.
And yet, check your earrings.
Yeah. I got in the festival vibe. And I've been blown away by it. It's just so impressive. The things that stand out for me is there's so little rubbish. There's no rubbish anywhere, and there's no people like puking and rolling around, getting messy. It's just beautiful. It's really a nice vibe, and there's loads of space, empty space that people can be in, so it never feels crowded in any area. And then the main thing for me that's just so amazing about this is how eco-friendly this festival is, and that's really for you. It seems to be that's a major part of how you've got involved in the festival and how you started to kind of curate it and make it different from other festivals, right?
Yeah.
So why did you start it? How did this start?
Well, it was kind of like a chance. It was a chance happening. Damien's my brother. He had this idea. He was riding a horse one day through the festival site, and I think it was off the back.
Bareback?
Bareback, naked.
Good.
And it was a unicorn. And he just fell in love with the land and just had this kind of vision that there would be a great festival here. And I've just been in support of that for the last 9 years, and it's just been an evolution of different ideas, but it's coming to something quite special now. And we feel like we're just scratching on the surface.
Yeah,
okay, really?
And I'd say it takes a lot, because even when you're trying to get up here, you get to the village, which is we left our house at 5 in the morning and we got here at 9 that night after many drives and many airport things. And then you get to the village and then you still got to get all the way up the mountain, which is pretty hairy. And just the idea when I'm walking around of going, how did you not just start trying to do the festival and then go, no, this is just too difficult, there's no way, how are we going to get everything up here, how are we going to get people up here, how are we going to show them where to walk in the dark? How did you not just give up?
Logistically it's a nightmare, but sometimes, in life the best things are those that are hardest to achieve. And you talk about there's not many people rolling around in the grass. I think it takes a special type of festival goer that it's a bit of a pilgrimage coming here.
Yes.
And when it's that much of an effort, it really does attract a different type of person who just doesn't want the easy ride. They want to go on an adventure and they want to discover something new. And that's why we attract such a special crowd of people here.
Yeah, and it really feels that way. You can tell that the kind of people who are here really are kind of on a quest. They're here to go and open themselves and see what they can discover and kind of leave that thing behind that's at home and try and see, well, what is this? How can I be more free? And how can I build community? Because it definitely feels like there's a coming together, there's a community feeling.
So, we talk about communion a lot and that idea, and I know it comes really alive down in Mesa where it really feels like a communion, like a real meeting of the waters for people from different parts of the world with different ideas, but all with open mindsets. When you say you're scratching the surface, what do you think you're scratching the surface on?
Well, I've always felt that in my lifetime something very special is going to happen, and I feel the coming together of the people here, the emergence of the climate emergency, the raisingness of consciousness. I just feel like this festival has a big part to play in bringing people together and helping people reconnect with nature, and finding the answers of why are we all here and what is the meaning to life. And I think this takes people quite a big step in the right direction towards rediscovering, you know, their connection with nature, consciousness, and looking after the planet, you know.
Well, you can see it happening all around, and what's lovely is like people are sitting here. It's night number 4 for some people if they're up here from Thursday, and there's still this lovely, warm, friendly kind of family buzz, and there's that great thing. I mean, we were trying to like drag you up here. I mean, I don't know how many names of people you know, but you pretty much know everybody we're kind of touching base with like along the way, and it's magic because it's small enough that it has that awful word boutique feel, but it has, you know, a large enough audience to feel like it's actually making like real resonant change.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. There's nothing to be sniffed at. Like, it's a big deal. It's so hidden. There's so many people that I know in Ireland don't know about it. The ones who do are like, Meadows.
I know.
They talk about it like they talk about Burning Man.
They really do.
Big. That's so big. I mean, that means you're going the right direction, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean the great thing about Burning Man is it started in 1986, and in the beginning it was just a bunch of rednecks driving around and beating up old cars, firing guns.
Yeah, was it really?
Yeah.
I didn't actually realise that.
And you know, now 30 years down the line, it's one of the most conscious festivals, best leave no trace policies in the world, and that just goes to show what a festival can achieve in the long term.
Yeah.
If you don't look at the short-term gains, and it's not about a business model to make money, but you're in it for the love, to create something special, what you can create in that space of time. So
I mean,
when I said scratching the surface, 9 years, give us another 15, where could we be?
And what, like, when we saw you on Friday, I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but it was a bit of a difficult moment for you, and that was for me really reflective. I didn't realise how deep the intention went with this thing around how much you really, really want this to be something that is a vehicle for change, because I saw you pretty much like close to tears when there was a water crisis. You tell the story actually. I mean, like, we just saw like a truck full of water, and we were like, great, water, and you were like stop, get it out.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working really hard to try and eliminate our negative effect on the environment. And, you know, you see it when you go to other mainstream festivals and the festival site's littered with waste, and it just hurts that something that can be fueled by art and music and all these beautiful cultural things can have such a negative impact.
Big time. I know, the fallout. Yeah. I mean, I've worked down in, you know, Electric Picnic in Ireland?
Yeah.
So I've worked down there, and a couple of times where I've been there at the close down, it is like post-apocalyptic. It is, you've never seen anything worse. You've got JCBs rolling through the place, just scraping up tents, and everything's blowing across this site, usually in the pistons of rain in Ireland in like late autumn, so it's not a great moment, or early autumn, but it doesn't look good anyway. But the idea that people can just come and get a grab and go quechua tank, chuck it up and leave it at the end of the weekend, along with everything else they bring, is, I mean, it's getting to a point where we know we have we have 2 years to turn this ship around. We have 12 years to make it so we're like a zero carbon economy in the entire world. I mean, this has to be like, for you, I can feel that it's a burning desire. It's not just like a kind of, I'd like this.
No, well, I mean, up until recently, we started working with Extinction Rebellion.
Amazing.
Who have been doing great things. I mean, in a 10-day shutdown of London across 4 sites, within a couple of days of that rebellion being over, they got the government to change its policies on the climate emergency, and the UK government declared a climate emergency.
And they got the same done in Ireland as well, which is amazing, a week later.
There's as well.
Oh yeah?
There's other countries following suit, but that just goes to show that when people come together, you know, they can create change quite quickly.
Yeah.
And you know, I just really want the festival to be part of that.
What are the things? Talk us through the things that you've done to ensure that this festival is really eco-friendly, and that also, what it seems to me is that you're not just respecting land and climate and environment in general, but also specifically this Bulgarian land and the cultures and traditions here and the people who live in the village.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Bulgaria and the Rhodope mountains, very majestic, magical land, which makes it even more so a reason to protect it. But the concepts that we started here originally were born from Burning Man. The first initiative we did was the cup system. So we've got the enamel camping cups, and then we stopped using plastic at our bars, and that was about 8 years ago. Then we brought in the flasks. You know, 2 years ago we brought in the single-use plastic ban, and next year we're rolling out like camping bowls and sporks, so that when you go to your food stalls, there's no biodegradable packaging. You bring your bowl and you bring your spork and you wash it up after, so it eliminates all of that packaging. We started planting our first orchards this year, so we planted 15 trees. We've got a couple of pears, a couple of apples, walnuts, pomegranates, and a fig tree. And all of the food nutrients for the plants come from our compost toilets. So we harvest all of the food scraps, and we harvest all of the human manure. It's used separately, so the food scraps get used for growing vegetables, and the food and the human manure gets used for the trees.
Wow.
But that's just the beginning. I mean, we've got this great permaculture guru called Paul Edgington, and he's just travels around the world, whether it's the Himalayas or Portugal or Africa, doing big permaculture builds, and he's our kind of like pioneer on that, on the festival scene. So it'll be interesting to see
what happens
what we can do there. Yeah.
And even all the food stalls and all of that stuff, they're not like plasticky pop-up tent situations. They're all handmade with wood.
It's all built with locally sourced sustainable timber, and the great thing about this site is because it's not a rented generic festival site, we've had to buy the land, not out of our choice, but we've been kind of forced to do it by the locals, because they, for whatever reason, they just wanted to cash in on the land and get out of it, and I guess it was more use to us for the festival than it was to them.
Interesting. God, that must have been a negotiation.
Well, yeah, just 9 years of having to buy land, we've never been able to make any money. So
okay, wow.
It's not all about making money.
No,
but,
I know,
but
you actually have to pay the rent at some point, and like what you're doing is honourable enough that I think everybody here, including us, would be quite happy to serve shillings up to that thing. I mean, that's what we talk about all the time. Is consumerism is voting with your money, and if we're going to vote for something, we fucking vote for this.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. So, like, when you're actually involved in the festival, like you're putting this together, what's your role?
How much do you do?
The danger that I heard was that Candy mentioned to us, it's Candy, your mum. Yeah. She was like, well, Ben has just got he's on basically every single whatever every group. He's in like the engineering, he's in the water, he's in the electrics. Like, what's your actual role?
I mean, I am a massive team player.
Okay, good.
And I can't do things on my own.
Okay.
And I really like to work with other people.
Yeah.
But I like to also be involved with all the different departments. So, kind of oversee the build element. Oversee a lot of the infrastructure. I'm involved in the bookings, but mainly the burning passion within me now is the environmental side. That is what I care about more than anything.
I mean, it must be frustrating. Cause do you go to other festivals?
I do. This takes it out of me.
I'd imagine.
And I would like to go to one other festival, new festival every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment, this is the only festival I do.
This is the
every
thing.
year.
Yeah. But I feel like when you go to other festivals, you're going to be. I mean, we were talking at Electric Picnic last year. No harm, no offense, but I mean, Electric Picnic they need to know this anyway. There's just litter everywhere, and there's single bins. If you come across one recycling, mixed recycling bin, great, but that mixed recycling bin isn't getting separated, it's going to the freaking regular waste anyway.
And sure, when it rains, people can just buy disposable mats for €1, and then it stops raining and they just throw them on the ground.
I mean, the speed of change that's required at this moment in time. I mean, Extinction Rebellion, I suppose, brought it to like a real, what was lovely with Extinction Rebellion actually was that you saw so many people who were involved with that, like who were, police officers, who were like in kind of maybe more conventional, professions where, it used to be people screaming from the fringes. You could be shouted, we'd be called as hippies and, kind of dismissed. But this was kind of different. It was like families coming out who were like, solicitors and doctors and police officers. And that shows a sort of a weight of change. Have you felt that in terms of people who are coming to the festival? Because like when you started this 9 years ago, not a lot of people were talking about zero waste. In fact, the term hadn't been coined.
No. I have seen a difference here. I've seen people who are very kind of open to trying new things. I would say with like a European kind of following, it's harder. Like when I went to California, when I went to Burning Man, in California the mentality is just completely different. They're much more conscious festival goer. Like, they would never dream, they would never think twice to throw something on the floor. And they're very just aware and they really care. And so here it's more about re-educating people that are coming. So it's not a quick fix. I think it's something that hopefully within 5 years' time, we may be able to have everyone on point and following the systems that we use. But I think, in terms of Electric Picnic, it's the organizer that needs to take the first step, not the individual. They need to completely stop using plastic at the bars, and they need to start bringing in systems to help change the mentality of their festival and the people that come to it.
What's lovely, I felt the last 2 years, there's a weight of momentum whereby I feel like 2 years ago you mentioned that to the Electric Picnic workers. They said, well, listen, people don't want it yet. It's not going to happen. Whereas now there's like kind of like oh shit, I have to change. I have children. Everyone's kind of thinking on more of a personal level now. They're kind of going to, thinking like actually the planet is kind of like the level of respect that's required is not kind of like an optionality. Like there's sort of a really serious, like where did this come from in you? Where did this start? This thing about.
Well, I think, but again, Burning Man, going to a desert with 50,000 people and then leaving the desert without an inch of waste left in the desert, that just blew my mind. I haven't been to UK festivals where, it's just a sea of waste to then leave a desert spotless.
When did you go?
2013.
Okay, so recent enough,
Yeah, and I thought that was something, UK, festivals are so saturated these days, and they kind of have no soul. They're just kind of like commercial machines, but they can be totally the opposite.
Yeah, they can be conceptual.
Yeah.
And do you think, because you guys don't have like, one thing that you can really notice here is there's not like Heineken on the side of things.
No.
There's no big sponsorship stuff, and that obviously, in a way, it must make it easier because you have autonomy over making the choices, but it must make it a lot harder in terms of financing stuff. And
100%. Like I'd say 99% of other festivals are, the basis of their business model is sponsorship. And, that was always something that we didn't want. I think from the offset, we've always wanted to be different to all the other festivals because, we wanted to pioneer something new and different, and we wanted to keep it organic, we wanted to keep it rustic. And the minute you start bringing in brands and sponsors, you lose that.
Yeah.
And you do see that because when you're going to like the food stalls, it's Bulgarian people.
It's amazing.
Cooking food like cheese
Local
that
fish,
they've made
halloumi,
from their sheep's milk. Local fish, local vegetables that they've grown, and it's not like you don't go to the food stall and there's like 20 different options. There's like 3 things that they're making and stuff. Like yesterday we had a kind of a pizza thing that was like potatoes and cheese on bread. It was
Patatnik.
Patatnik. Yeah. I was like, what is this potato thing called? Patatnik. I was like,
we were like, oh,
okay, right,
potato.
fair enough.
Right. We were like,
Bulgarian.
surely this comes from Ireland. It's potato pizza. I mean, it must be Irish.
Freaking
but
gorgeous.
Like totally delicious, and they're just there, like families. There was a kid yesterday. Like they're the local people here. It's not like because people were saying to me, oh yeah, but is it just a bunch of English people who've just taken over a festival on a hill and then they've just disregarded the locals and everyone's annoyed at them? And it's not like that. I mean, you very much work with the community.
No, the community is at the heart of it. So, from the beginning, we didn't want to come and roll in with the festival and start upsetting the neighbours.
It can get very edgy, can't it?
Yeah, and we work with the neighbours from the, we work with the villagers from the beginning, and we've involved them. We have a huge workforce here that are locally supplied, carpenters and tradesmen.
Nice.
All of the village profits hugely from the influx of tourism that we bring, and it's culturally inspiring to have this emergence of young Europeans coming to this like ex-Soviet Balkan lifestyle, and they're all kind of like being greeted at 6 a.m. by the baba with slippers and a cup of tea, and that's what makes it special.
It does actually, doesn't it?
And
the authenticity is
even when we were in Mesa the other day, we finished doing our workshop and we walked out, and people are kind of coming in and the workshops are really full. And a nice thing about the workshops is that there seems to be like a common theme of all the people who are coming and talking about whatever, whether it's doing yoga or whether it's having a wellness talk or some kind of a dance workshop. There's always this common theme of like, how can we connect with nature? How can we get back to that feeling of it's not us and nature, it's the nature within us, and how can we like connect to that a little bit more? But when we walked out, suddenly there was just hordes of people coming towards Mesa, and it was because there were the Bulgarian folk singers there, and everyone was there to watch them. And it was such a nice thing because it wasn't like, let's roll out the Bulgarians doing their little singing. It was very much people were so excited to see it, and every year people are coming back to see them, and they're laughing and having a great time, and it's just the most beautiful thing to be standing on top of this mountain looking around at these absolutely amazing views, and then having the people who live here in their traditional dress like really respecting their traditional music, and being able to be a part of that gives you this context for where you are.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing that makes Meadows special, is the intimacy of it all, and like you said, the authenticity. It's that diversity of different things, not just relying upon big headliners and just music. There's so much more in community and in a festival environment that bring people together, and remind them that at the base of it all is community and it is nature, and that's what Meadows does really well.
And what to go forwards to achieve all the dreams that you want to do and have it the way that you want, what do you need? I mean, do you need people to come on board? Do you need people to donate money? Are you looking for someone to curate something special? What do you need? Like, is there someone listening who could actually help you to move forwards in some way?
Yeah, I mean, it would be great to get more support all round. Like it would be great to find new initiatives and ways. I mean, one of our biggest problems is we're a destination festival. 80% of our following comes from the UK, and the cheapest and quickest way to do it is with budget airlines. So we started an initiative 2 years ago called Train Not Plane, and we've been giving away free tickets for the last 2 years to punters that catch the train across Europe.
Wow.
So I mean, for us, like, one of the big parts of making this festival sustainable is looking at the travel element of it and how we do that. And I wish that everyone could just catch a train, but it's not that easy. So I don't have the answer to that one yet, but I'm hoping it will come up soon.
But it's like every kind of summit where you have people who are thought leaders or whatever in an area. You necessarily have to draw them from different parts of the world. We haven't quite worked out how to do that yet. We can't. Skype doesn't do that for us. We need to feel people in person. It can't really happen in a dislocated sort of way. I mean, I'd love somebody to solve that. Your man, what's his name?
Elon Musk.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the guy. I feel like he's the man with the billions and the vision.
So yeah, you're talking about asking out for help. If Elon Musk wants to get involved, then
Elon, here we are.
Absolutely.
Asking.
Get
Put it
folk
out
here,
there.
make a zero carbon festival, and in terms of travel as well.
Yeah.
There you go. That is the ask.
Just give us a fleet of Teslas and we'll fly. Drive
There you
everyone.
Go.
Great.
That's the thing we want to manifest.
That's
there you
it.
go.
So,
Boom.
yeah, because sometimes it's about that, though, isn't it? It's about having clarity. I mean, you're not going to get what you want if you don't have clarity about what the thing is that you actually want. So sometimes it takes that thing of going, well, what is it that you need? And then going, this is what I need. Anybody who's listening, if you can provide that in some way, or someone who can, maybe that's part of the community.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the number one goal for me, obviously there's a whole team of people behind Meadows, but for me, like I said to you earlier, I just feel like there's going to be a massive shift in our lifetimes, and I really want Meadows to be part of that. And I think the way this festival opens people's minds, it's a perfect opportunity for people to embrace new things and open up to the change. And I just really there's obviously the light and the dark, and there's people that have hope and there's people that don't have hope that we can make the change. I'm filled with great zest of hope that we can do it, and I just want Meadows to do its most to be part of that, and to collaborate with sustainable businesses, to collaborate with movements like Extinction Rebellion to just help spread the word.
Yeah, and I think it's an amazing thing to have the Extinction Rebellion boat here this time, because it means that you haven't just got the ethos in the festival, that people are learning and they're absorbing by osmosis just being here. But people actually they've been giving talks every day, they've been giving workshops, they're there for people to go and ask questions, and I think that's a massive thing, isn't it? Because people who don't know might go, well, what's that big boat? And then wander over, and then they get to talk to those people and actually get those answers, because lots of people are really skeptical and they just don't know. And being able to actually be on the ground in a place like this where your mind is able to be a bit more open and a bit more free, I think that's part of what you're doing that's so great. I mean, it's educating, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's where it boils down to, is that education's a big part of it, bringing the education element into a festival, so it's not just listening to music all weekend, but learning something new and learning something important. And I really want that to grow, and that's what happened with Mesa and the workshops and talks that happen there, and now with Extinction Rebellion as well.
And it's it reduces that sort of othering sense as well, doesn't it? The us and them thing. And what's magic about this is that you've created a festival that's interesting to folk like myself and Lydia, who are maybe not like the most, like big festival goers, but like have had some experiences at festivals, had some beautiful times, been to Burning Man, but it's been a long time. And and we would consider ourselves very fringe when it comes to like what society does and what the kind of permissive stuff that happens at festivals maybe. But then it also it's a draw to our types of people who want to make change, who want to make positive change ecologically, whatever. But it's also a draw to like the super hip crowd who might not necessarily be quite there yet in their mindset. And I mean, like, it's getting voted like top festival by Vogue or something like that. That's what, and it's like when you can meet those two things together, you've got like absolute magic can happen, because you've got people who can be exposed to things they would never otherwise have touched. And suddenly you can really change minds.
Yeah, I mean, you know, going back to the Extinction Rebellion thing, it just goes to show, you know, a year, 2 years ago, climate change never made it into the newspapers, and they've made it the hot topic.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that, you know, once you start that kind of domino effect, you know, the message spreads really quickly, and it can bring the hip crowd together. It can bring, you know, the geeky, scientific, academic crowd. You know, everyone's just going to come together and share the message, and hopefully we can just do what we've got to do. But, you know, time's running out.
Big time. Humanity needs to take action. Big time.
Yes,
absolutely. Cool.
Ben,
Strong
I feel
words.
like we've commandeered enough of
long
your
enough,
time, and there are so many people who want you. I'm so glad that we managed to pin you down, because it's been 2 years of trying so hard.
It's a joy, Winnie. Thank you very much. Cheers. And well done, my God. Well done.
I
like,
just
super well done.
I'm so proud
You've
of
done
you.
an amazing
I
thing.
mean, you're my cousin, so I love you. But really, I wasn't sure what to expect when I first came here last year, and I was a bit nervous that I was going to come and go, oh yeah, it's great, I'm never coming back again. And it was just so amazing to come here and go, like, you guys did this, and it's amazing. I mean, it blows my mind walking around. Every time I'm walking around, I'm going, oh yeah, they had to think of this thing, and they had to think of this thing, and there's
like
always paper in the toilets, and you know, everything has been thought of. And even just getting up and down the mountain, the lightings, the way that people walk, so that they're not walking on the roads and not get run over by people, and you know, every element.
And the amount of things we kept saying, like the amount of things you could have missed.
I
haven't spotted any. Like the amount of things you could have forgotten, like the radioing down the mountains, make sure those guys are matching up with those guys, make sure you got every type of bin covered in every area, like just, and the sawdust on the thing, you know, there's those things that might seem like little things, but it means that people are wandering around here, like the best design is never seen. Like people here just aren't noticing those things because it's just working. It's a real testament to your work, my friends.
Yeah, well, you know, it took us 9 years to get there, so let's, you know, 10th birthday next year, let's see what other magic we can pull out the bag.
Exciting, look forward to it. Cheers, thanks again. Cheers. Cool.
So thanks everyone for watching. And if you want to come to Meadows in the Mountains, you can go to their website and you can go to their Instagram page, and do go if you haven't seen anything about it, because on the Instagram page you'll see the most beautiful photos and you'll get a real vibe for what it's like to be here. And also you can check out on all our podcast platforms the interviews that we did last year with the people in Mesa and the ones that we've done this year, and we're going to be putting up a little podcast of our workshop that we gave this year, so you can see what that's like and see how it is in Mesa in the Bell Tent. And if you have questions for Ben, or if you want to help with the festival in any way, let us know.
If you're Elon Musk, drop him a mail. He'll probably respond.
Elon.
Who knows? We laugh, but who knows? The man wants to make change.
Magic
so do you.
is everywhere.
Magic is everywhere, exactly. The universe works in mysterious ways. Cheers, guys.
So thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye.